Today we're looking at the history of Labor Day. Hello, welcome to the Daily Bellringer. Please don't forget to subscribe and take a look at the questions down in the description. So, Labor Day is generally viewed as marking the end of summer and the time for students to go back to school. Ironically, though, everyone usually has the day off of school, and despite it being a day dedicated to working, for the most part, most people probably spend the day sitting on the couch watching TV or playing video games. But Labor Day is set aside as a holiday for a very important purpose. So, celebrated on the first Monday of September each year, Labor Day is intended to celebrate the contributions of American workers to the strength, success, and prosperity of the United States. The history of Labor Day can be traced back to labor unions or unions. Unions are associations or kind of a club of workers who often do a similar job and form together to protect their common interests and rights. Unions became very important throughout the late 1800s as the Industrial Revolution was really kicking into high gear in America. But all of this industrial growth also brought unsafe working conditions as there were few government regulations or inspections of working conditions. Furthermore, workers were being required to work 12 hours a day and work 7 days a week. Labor unions began to spring up to fight for workers' rights. Workers went on strike or refused to go to work until employers agreed to safer conditions, better hours, or fair wages. Many of these strikes turned violent, one of the most famous being the Haymarket Riot that took place on May 4th, 1886. Chicago workers were holding a rally to argue for an 8-hour workday. Chicago police and protesters began to clash, and one person was killed. Then someone threw a stick of dynamite at the police, which exploded and gunfire broke out. 7 policemen and 4 protesters were killed, along with dozens wounded. Events such as this placed increased pressure on employers and the government to recognize and support workers' rights. But as far as the actual idea of Labor Day, that is still somewhat an argued point in history. Some contend that Peter J. McGuire, who was the secretary of the Brotherhood of Carpenters and one of the founders of the American Federation of Labor, was the first to suggest the holiday to recognize workers. But some say that a machinist from New Jersey, Peter McGuire, was actually the first to propose the holiday in 1882 while serving as the secretary of the Central Labor Union in New York. The first observance of Labor Day took place on September 5th, 1882, when 10,000 workers in New York City marched from City Hall to Union Square. This tradition continued each year despite the government not actually recognizing the holiday. By the early 1890s, many states began to adopt some form of a Labor Day celebration, but it actually took another strike before the federal government officially made Labor Day a holiday. In May of 1894, workers for the Pullman Railroad Car Company near Chicago, which of course built railroad cars, went on strike because of wage cuts. Soon after, union leader Eugene Debs called for a boycott or refusing to participate in something or use a certain product as a boycott. But basically they said everybody in the country should boycott Pullman rail cars. And this basically brought the railroads in America to a standstill. And you have to consider in the late 1890s, railroads were the primary means of transporting goods across the country. So this really crippled the economy. The federal government sent troops in to try to break up the strike, and dozens of workers were killed. The nation was absolutely outraged, and in reaction to this outrage, the federal government decided to recognize Labor Day as a federal holiday, and on June 28, 1894, President Grover Cleveland signed a law making the first Monday of September each year a holiday. Since then, the holiday has traditionally included parades and fireworks in most communities to recognize workers. So on this Labor Day, take a moment to reflect on the contribution of American workers to building our past, our present, and our future. So with that, hopefully you learned something, and thanks for watching.